Once upon a time, there was a little girl who had a pocket full of 3 F's to give. The first F, of course, was given to her relationship with God. The second F was given to what her parents thought of her. And then the third F was, of course, split up and given to all the things that she cared about, such as playing video games, having fun, making music without an audience, and breaking ankles, crossing people over on the court. You feel me? And then she went to high school and was introduced to drugs called social media apps. And then she was at a deficit of F's because she was giving too many F's. And now we're here. You can imagine who that might be. That might be you. That might be me. Hey, that's probably most of us. And I am just really reflecting on social media and its role in my life in particular. It's just freaking weird. I think the more I try to see what it really is, the more I don't want it. But then it's like, how can I still be social without certain aspects of the experience, And it just gets kind of challenging to know how to really express myself on an app that is literally for instant moments. Like, oh, everybody's just scrolling through and comparing themselves, looking at everybody else's life, and they want something that's quick, simple, most of the time shallow, and also something that takes them away from the current reality, right? Social media is a place where we go to detach from reality. We go there for fantasy. But as my mentor, she doesn't know that I'm her mentee, but as my mentor, Lauryn Hill, says, she says, fantasy is what people want, but reality is what people need. And I'm really questioning, what is reality? Because when I'm on social media, it feels like, and this is my perspective, I know everybody's sensitive these days and it's hard to speak truth sometimes, but from my perspective, I feel like we live mainly fake lives. We create this false sense of self that we then kind of fall in love with, So when we are apart from those apps or that false self that we've built, we feel like we're depressed, or we feel like we're missing out on something, that FOMO. So then when we go back to these apps to then feed the monster, feed this false self of where we are only showing either our business, being successful. We don't talk about the failures of it, even though a lot of great stories come with failure, right? Every great story, I would say. Or we are posting us as happy as can be, and everything is great, everything's dandy, but it's just not sustainable. It's just not really real to me. And I'm sitting out here looking at this tree, right? And I would show you the tree, but just picture a tree. Use your imagination. You know what a tree looks like. Obviously, you're brilliant. You got a tree, and the tree, like everything in nature, like you don't see anything just happen instantly. Like, it really takes years to get to that size, that height, that amazement. It's always been beautiful, but to really look at nature and be like, dang, that tree has been here, like, before I was even here, and it's there, it's beautiful, and everybody wants to admire it, right? But the cool thing about trees is it goes back to like that Hermetic principle, which actually comes from Egypt by Thoth, Thoth. But later the Greeks took it and made it Hermes. But Thoth's principle said that as above, so below, as within, so without. And I'm looking at this tree, and it's like, dang, it's only standing that tall because as tall as the branches are, as tall as it is as deep as it is in the ground. Like, the roots are literally that tall going downward. And that blows my mind. But then we translate that into, I guess, social media world. I don't want to say real life, but social media world. It's like everybody wants to have their branches and their leaves and their flowers be so beautiful and blossom and be lively and admired, right? And like, hey, look at me, I'm great, I'm beautiful, I'm happy, my life is perfect. But then the wind blows, trial, tribulation, or reality blows, and then people just get knocked over. The tree gets knocked over. Why? Because I'm wondering, are people really taking the time to grow their roots as deeply as they are growing their branches as tall? You know what I mean by that sentence. I'm not even going to try to rephrase that. But seriously, are our roots that deep? No, I personally don't think so, because I feel like social media, which was intended for us to stay on here as long as possible, but I mean, it's literally proven that they did this. They study neurology. They know how our brains work. They know how addiction works. And we really sitting up here thinking that we're being fulfilled by receiving more content and looking at more things and posting more things, getting more likes and comments and shares. But then we feel empty after building up this false self. Not everybody is building a false self. I don't want to make that, blanket statement, but it's just kind of freaking exhausting. And I realized that the reason why I have given so many F's in my life, besides like being raised in a strict religious home where I really had to be careful about every freaking thing that I did, I think social media comes second to that. Now I'm being overly self-critical, and with me dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder, well, I'll call it an order, because I feel like I have a superpower having this mental order. That's a different story. I feel like everybody just has a different way that their brain is wired. I don't think. Okay, let me stay on track. I feel like I'm so highly critical because I want to, I don't want to say be perfect, but there's a certain way that I like things, and then if it's not that way, I can get on myself about that. And then the second thing, it's like I tend to look at my colleagues and see what they are doing in life, like especially when it comes to like other musicians, and it's just so weird to like start to give an F about that. And it's like, what's going on? Like, who are we? Who am I? I'm not like what this app wants me to be or what the world wants me to be. So who really am I? I've been giving way too many F's, and this video is really long. If you made it here, like, congrats. Your brain is just fine. Your attention span is fine. But I'm reading this, the subtle art of not giving an F, and I'm just rethinking a lot of things. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Give an F to the things that you care about, not to the other stuff. That's all I have to say. I said a lot. All right. See ya.